Hello, good friends of the internet. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Since I only had one rehearsal this morning for Streetcar, and we were just reviewing material that we had done last night, I am free for the rest of the day. You may or may not recall that during the auditions and before the cast lists went out, I had said that I wasn't going to comment on the audition process because we were waiting for those cast lists to come out. Well, lo and behold, those cast lists have come out. You know that I'm playing Stanley Kowalski in A Streetcar Named Desire, opening November 3rd at the Hilberry Theater. Links in the description below. You should come see the show. Opening night, the president of the university is going to be there. Now that those cast lists are out and the auditions are a little bit further in our rear view mirror, I wanted to take a couple moments today to talk about general auditions. What I saw, what I think you should be aware of if you're an aspiring actor, and if you're not an actor, maybe just a little insight as to what the heck goes on in an audition. Because you walk into a room and you have about 90 seconds to prove that you're worth a callback. What is a general audition? Well, what you are doing for a general audition is you're going in and you're auditioning for multiple shows, possibly multiple companies, but multiple shows at the same time. Which means you aren't going to be able to pick a monologue necessarily that is specific for the show you're auditioning for. So you're going to want to find something that's a bit more general, something that shows you off as a performer, showcases your talents, shows the people on the other side of the table, hey, I know what I can do, here's me doing it very well, why don't you give me a chance at doing what you need done? Pretty simple, seems obvious, but it isn't always. This brings us to the first piece of advice that I have, which involves the selection of your material. Pick something that is age appropriate or something that is life experience appropriate. I think it's important to include the life experience portion because there are some people who have certain life experiences far earlier in life than others. And if you're reading a monologue about maybe you're reading a character that's 35 talking about the death of a sibling, that is extremely tragic. Some people have had to deal with that, and some people have dealt with that at a much younger age than 35. If the monologue fits, and you have that life experience, and you can just knock it out of the park, go ahead and do that. But for the most part, you want to pick age, life experience appropriate pieces. It's very difficult to watch a 18 to 22-year-old talking about running into their ex and then cheating on their current spouse with their ex. There's a level of baggage and life experience that is missing, usually. And it's obvious. It is obvious to the people sitting on the other side of the table casting the shows. It's just evident that this person is talking about things that they don't quite understand. First piece of advice, pick age and life experience appropriate material. Once you have that material, memorize it. And then perform it in front of other people. And then actually memorize it because you weren't memorized. And then perform it in front of some strangers. And then really make sure you're memorized. And then come into the audition. Too often, the nerves are going to get the best of them. It's difficult walking into an audition room because you're not going to get applause, you're not going to get laughter for the most part. The people that are holding the auditions are industry professionals, or they're people that have been involved in the business for a while. So they're not going to offer you anything in terms of real, obvious support. Pro tip, everyone wants you to do well when you walk into the audition room. They really do. That's just the way it is. The people that are holding the auditions want the perfect actor to walk in and do the audition, and then they're done. They can cast the show because that perfect person, because that perfect actor walked in and just nailed it. So if that helps you in any way, know for a fact they want you to do well in the audition, because that makes their job easier. So no one is rooting for you to do poorly. Plus, nobody wants to sit there while you're doing poorly. We know you don't want to be up there doing poorly, so yeah. Be memorized, be memorized, be memorized, be memorized. And as soon as you think you're memorized, memorize it again. And then actually perform it in front of your friends, or try to do it in public or something. It is remarkable how those words will just leave your head if you haven't practiced this in front of other people. That's probably one of the best pieces of advice I could give you. Practice your piece in front of another live human being, because when you walk into that room to do the audition, it is incredible how quickly those words will just disappear from your head. Next point is a common thing that I saw in a lot of people, which was their monologue came across much more like a speech than it came across as an in-the-moment, reactionary, talking, thinking, processing, discovering, in-the-moment monologue. And the tone of that happened frequently with performers because there was no clear moment before. What I mean by the moment before is just that. What happened the moment before you started speaking? For the most part, these monologues pick up in the middle of a conversation. You're not starting at the sit down, hey, how's your day? How's the weather? You're not sitting down for a meal at the start of the monologue, because the monologue is only going to come out in a scene once people have gotten on a similar enough page and have invested enough in the conversation that someone has that much that they need to say that they're going to just say it and let it come out. So oftentimes people would say their slate, hi, my name is Nick, I'm here, and this is a piece from da-da-da, and now I'm acting because this is emotional, da-da-da. But that's not how it would go if you're in the middle of a conversation. Remember that moment before is incredibly important. And if we've picked good age-appropriate, life experience appropriate material, you've picked something that is, you should have an idea of where that conversation is when you pick it up in the middle of the conversation, which is where the monologue will be. Remember your moment before. Really, really important. And the last point that I want to bring up is making big physical and vocal choices. This is something you might have heard a director being like, bigger, more. I want you to do it, but do it bigger, you know? That can be useful or useless information depending on how you are going to take it. So for me, how I would take that is the following. If your monologue is 45 to 60 seconds, you get one moment where your volume gets to be at a 10, but you also need to pair that with one moment where your volume is at a 1. Big does not always mean loud. Big can also mean quiet. We exist at a 5. Here's our 5. Here's 0. Here's 10. All right? If we just go from our neutral up to 10 and back to 5, we're only using half of our spectrum. So if we get really loud and then really quiet, we can mix up and make bigger choices. Same thing with pace or rate of speed. Same thing with pitch. You can get really excited up here and then slow it down. Be willing to move within that scale from 5 to 10, from 10 to 6, from 6 to 2, and not just vocally, physically as well. We saw a lot of performers, auditioners, whose elbows get locked in at their hips and they can gesture here and they point and they do a lot of this, but they're locked here. And similar to the vocal variation, having fast pitch, having fast rate, high pitch, volume, hard articulation versus soft articulation. Physically, you want to make a big gesture, or you want to recognize the power of stillness, recognize the power in the economy of movement. Doesn't take much, just a little bit. But pair that with a big opposites. Find opposites throughout your piece. Find the climax of your piece, make that very obviously the only 10 in your piece. But also make sure that you have a 1 or a 2 somewhere in your piece. I guess, and last note would be have fun. You need to have fun. Have fun when you walk into the room. It's a different mentality to try to get, but if you can get in your head, not that you're going into audition, but you are performing for 2 minutes. You get an audience for 2 minutes. A great mental approach that I heard to auditions as an actor is that you don't have the job. When you walked in the room, you didn't have the job, and when you left the room, you didn't have the job. You weren't entitled to the job. You had to earn the job. If you didn't get it, well, you never had it anyway. So it's not like you've lost something from the audition. You probably gained some experience. You should reflect on what you did, and you had a chance to build your network, to get seen by a few more artists, and to possibly get a chance to come back in for another project that you might be better suited for. So there you go, folks. Those are my thoughts. So we can run up the total of... That's not bad. I still have a long way to go to get up to $3.50. $3.50 for those who, need the cool version. Long way to go. I hope some of you found this helpful. I hope some of you found this insightful. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, share the video. If you have any questions, please comment down below if you have questions about acting, about auditioning, about theater, about why I'm doing this. If you have any questions, write them down in the comment section. And thank you so much for joining me on this nice lazy Saturday that we have here in Detroit. Probably gonna go outside, go for a little walk, and I have some editing to do, of course, and line work. Gotta continue to work on my man, Stanley Kowalski. Thank you again for joining, thanks for watching, thanks for liking, sharing. Have yourself a great day. Break a leg out there.